The New York Giants added another veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson, who will now join Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito as the New York Giant signal callers. What's going on, everyone? Nick Filato, a Big Blue View here to go over some tape, briefly talk about some analytics, while also evaluating this move and how it raises the floor for the New York Football Giants. Look, this is an experienced veteran, a Super Bowl champion in Russell Wilson, somebody who has a 9.5 average depth of target and a 7.7 yards per attempt average throughout his entire career. Someone who's going to push the ball vertically. And that's all I'm asking for. That's all I want from my quarterback. Because when you go through Russell Wilson's tape, and as you'll see some of these highlights that are on your screen, you'll see this is somebody who has not lost any arm strength. The arm has not diminished despite the fact that he is 36 years old. He loves that moon ball, outside the numbers type of passer. And here's NFL Next Gen stats, 10 plus air yards on quick passes. You can see passing yards, he ranked third, yards per attempt first, touchdowns, he tied for second with 5, completion probability over expected first, and EPA per dropback. That's expected points added per dropback first. And these are the types of plays that I'm referencing here. This one. This one. And this one. If you watched the Giant game last year, you know Russell Wilson was absolutely carving up Shane Bowen's man coverage defense because Shane Bowen ran a lot of cover one against the Pittsburgh Steelers, dropping a man down in the box to stop the rushing attack, forcing Russell Wilson to attempt to beat the New York Giants with Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. And guess what? They did. And that's something that the New York Giants are going to see from Russell Wilson. He can carve through man coverage. Zone coverage, he's also very good against. But I think zone probably gave him a little bit more trouble. But we're going to go through some plays, cover 6, cover 2, and Palms coverage against 3-by-1 sets when the Pittsburgh Steelers were in 3-by-1 sets a little bit later on in this video, where you could see high levels of processing from Russell Wilson. Look, Wilson, he's still functionally mobile, but he's going to try to escape pockets when he probably doesn't have to. And his mobility writes some checks that his legs can't cash at this point. It's going to lead to some frustrating sacks. That's an area of the game that New York Giant fans are probably going to be a little bit frustrated by. But when it comes to adding an explosive element similar to Jameis Winston, this is like nothing we've seen from a New York Giants quarterback since Eli Manning was in the building. And I hate to say that, and maybe you can argue, and I would listen to this argument, that Tyrod Taylor did this as well. But the Giants have not had a quarterback who can push the ball vertically. And there were a few quarterbacks in the National Football League in 2024 who pushed the ball vertically at a level like Russell Wilson did. A very good, competent level where you can stress defenses and force these defenses to defend every area of the field, whether that's from the far hash, outside the far numbers. Russell Wilson will challenge these defenses and force these coordinators to respect his ability to push the ball vertically. And that's all I'm asking for. So let's go through some of these plays real quick. These first 3 throws are just Russell Wilson showcasing that pinpoint accuracy outside the numbers on go balls, trusting his top receivers. And if you listen to his press conferences, inaugural press conference as a New York Giants quarterback, he's excited to work with Malik Nabers, and Malik Nabers is going to be the recipient of a lot of these deep passes. Here you just have George Pickens outside the numbers, one-on-one. It's a 3-by-1 set. Gets isolated, good little move, but you could see the defender has good leverage on this route. He's not completely beat vertically. He's trying to cut off the angle and squeeze Pickens towards the sideline. So this is on Russell Wilson to put this ball out in front of Pickens and allow George Pickens to run underneath it. You hear a lot, hey, I want a quarterback who can throw my receivers open. This is a slight indication of that. This is a good representation of that. You have the slow go. It's kind of like a slant, even though it's more just a double move. And Pickens breaks out, good coverage, but the throw is out and it allows George Pickens to run underneath it, get both the feet in bounds relatively easily, and then go out of bounds for a nice gain. And you could see that was from the far hash. You can see it from this angle. He's on that far hash, catches the ball, sees the safety drop to the middle of the field, knows he has the one-on-one, steps into it, and that football is high and away from 21. Easy catch for George Pickens. We're going to see something similar against the New York Giants. Now the Giants get caught in cover one, like I was mentioning before, and that is just a perfect throw to Pickens. Right before the safety is able to get there, you have a two-man route concept. Off of play action, Russell Wilson is still a highly adept quarterback when operating play action. He sells it well, hits that back foot, and he has this cannon to fire the football. This is going to benefit not just the Neighbors, but also Darius Slayton. And it's right where it needs to be. It's high, with touch, drops into the bucket, and gives George Pickens enough of a runway to get multiple feet in bounds, which he does. And you can see he almost took that to the house. Another very good throw by Russell Wilson. Play action, hit the back foot, step up, good pocket there. Just pinpoint accuracy. Here's another one against the Cleveland Browns. This coverage is tight, and that needs to be a perfectly placed ball to Big Mike Williams. And you can see how Williams pushes off a little bit, but that football lands directly where it needs to be. These are pinpoint throws by Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson last year of throws with 20 plus air yards, he was 24 of 46. That's 52%. That's an insane mark for throws with 20 plus air yards. 20 plus air yards outside the numbers, he was 55%, 18 of 33. And then over the middle of the field with 10 plus air yards, he was 23 of 36. That's a 64%. And look, he doesn't target the middle of the field as much as other quarterbacks. It's hard for a guy like Russell Wilson to see over the line of scrimmage, right? Like if we go back to when Denver made that trade, Nathaniel Hackett was the first-time head coach. There were a lot of people in the know who were like, this might not work out because Nathaniel Hackett operates a timing-based West Coast-oriented offense where a lot of routes are just breaking over the middle of the field. It's not really Russell Wilson's game. That wasn't his game in Seattle. He operated another heavy play-action passing attack where he thrived with those moon balls to Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett and some of these throws that you're seeing right now. That's not to say that he can't operate a quick timing-based offense because we have seen him do it. But when it is predicated on that and you force Russell Wilson to not use what Russell Wilson has always successfully employed, i.e. throws outside the numbers, working the sidelines, 2-3-man route concepts that are to one side of the field. And if he doesn't like that, he quickly comes off it and hits that backside off of 3-by-1 sets. Then you're pigeonholing yourself. And it just was not a natural fit, Russell Wilson, with Nathaniel Hackett. And I'm trusting that Brian Daboll will understand how to leverage Russell Wilson's skills to avoid that catastrophic Denver implosion that we saw. And even though we stabilized once Sean Payton came into town a little bit, that's not been great for Russ. Last season, he put up good numbers throwing deep, but he's not that same quarterback that he was when he was in Seattle. But I want to go back a few and go over some of these plays right here. We'll start with this look. It's third down. You got the Baltimore Ravens showing cover zero, showing that they're going to blitz. They're going to end up bailing here to a cover two. You're going to see bail with the cover two with 21 taking a deep half. Now, he looks like he's just a cornerback, so you have a lot of rotation here. And I want to give Wilson his credit for being cerebrally gifted as a quarterback to quickly process what a defense is doing pre to post snap. It's not something the New York Giants have necessarily had in here for a while too, right? So you're going to see, looks like heavy blitz. What are you going to get? You're going to get a simulated pressure. You're going to get 44. Marlon Humphrey, he's going to come on the blitz, and you're only going to get 4 rushing. Everybody else is bailing to his zone, a cover 2 zone. Russell Wilson's going to hit that back foot. He's going to readjust himself, and he's just going to fire right up the seam. He understands that this is a cover 2 type of look. He sees that safety, middle of the field, close safety, 29. He's going to take a deep half. See that quick check? We'll see it a little bit better on the end zone copy. Quickly checks, sees 21, shade to the inside, and you see Kyle Hamilton, number 14, bail to the flat. It's going to be cover 2, going to have that seam bender, just need to get over the top of the linebackers. And this is all processing in Russell Wilson's brain as he's figuring out, is this going to be a blitz? He's setting the protections. It's not going to be a blitz. Okay, I know who's going to be open now once I confirm this post-snap. Snap happens. See that little quick check with his eyes? Checks, sees Kyle Hamilton flowing underneath, sees 21 taking one deep half, 29 taking another deep half, knows the seam bender is going to be open. And that's beautiful navigation of the pocket to avoid Marlon Humphrey. Good job by Jalen Warren. Set, throw over the middle of the field, target. That's one way you could beat cover 2 right there, especially with your ass backed up in the end zone. Now, this is going to be a cover 6 look that he's able to successfully diagnose and target for a touchdown to George Pickens. This is a great play by George Pickens, but the timing of this throw from the far hash, mind you, is impeccable, right? So you can look at it pre-snap. It looks like it might be a cover 6 by the depth of 29. So Russell Wilson catches this and he scans and he sees 29, takes that deep half, right? And now you're going to have quarter towards the bottom of the field. So now with 29 on a deep half and with the cornerback over Pickens squatting and not sinking, Russell Wilson knows there's going to be the cover 2 side of cover 6. It's going to be a honey hole. So let's attack that honey hole. Russell Wilson diagnoses it right now. He sees that safety taking the deep half, and that safety is not close to the numbers. And at this moment, the cornerback on George Pickens is still in good position to sink if he needs to, but his entire body has passed George Pickens off to that empty voided area between the cover 2 flat defender and the cover 2 deep half safety. Now, remember, this is cover 6. Cover 6 is a mixture of cover 4 and cover 2. That field side is cover 2. Russell Wilson sees it, and right when he starts to throw this football, it looks like George Pickens could be covered, but he throws it to an area where he knows George Pickens can run underneath it and make the catch. That's high-level quarterbacking there. That's diagnosing the defense. That's understanding where these defenders are going to be. That's throwing with anticipation, and that is trusting your wide receiver to run underneath this and make a play on the football. And Wilson puts it there just before the safety can get there to lay this gigantic hit on George Pickens, and it ends up going for 6. It's because Russell Wilson. See, watch how he scans this entire field. Looks first, doesn't like what he sees to the cover 4 side of the cover 6, to that boundary side. Checks, sees that safety, sees the location of the safety. Remember, he was, I would say, significantly inside the numbers and at a depth to where Russell Wilson understood where he could put this football and allow George Pickens to make a play on it. So he fires that from the far hash, slips it right in. Excellent placement. Great timing. Good protection, too, which is something Russ, every quarterback can benefit from some good protection. Now, here we're going to see palms from the Ravens defense. Palms is a way defensive structures deal with trips, formations. So 3 wide receivers, or 3 receivers, I should say, because there's a tight end here. It's 11 personnel with 1 backside. Giants ran a lot of 3-by-1. Out of their 11 personnel package, I believe it was like 39% of the time. And I could see that being expanded now with a different quarterback that was just under Daniel Jones. But Russell Wilson's going to catch this. He's going to hit this backside. Now, with palms, it's a cover 4 variation. So you're going to have deep fourths, but these safeties are going to read the releases of these number 2 receivers. Now, there's not a number 2 receiver towards the boundary side. It's just number 1. So what Kyle Hamilton is going to do, Kyle Hamilton is going to take a step towards Van Jefferson, and then he sees Pat Freiermuth start to bend over the middle of the field. Kyle Hamilton's going to get his eyes on that number 3 to take the number 3 deep if Freiermuth goes deep. And you see how Russell Wilson processes this and understands he's going to have Van Jefferson, now that Kyle Hamilton committed his hips inward towards the 3 receiver side. Wilson sees it, and he just allows Van Jefferson, again, to run underneath the football. Simple enough. Throwing Van Jefferson into a spot where there is going to be no defender, and putting enough air underneath it, enough touch to tell Van Jefferson to run underneath it. That's exactly what happens there. There's no shot a Baltimore Raven can make a play on that football. This is just a palms beater. On the backside of a 3-by-1 set, you just hit your X receiver, gives a little double move to Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens gets toasted, and that's an easy touchdown. Now let's watch Russ's eyes. Russ, once he on this drop back, all the information that he is collecting, shotgun. Looks like he peeks at Kyle Hamilton, sees that it's palms type coverage, but you see him kind of look at Freiermuth, and then he quickly whips back, sees that Hamilton is not in position to guard Van Jefferson, and Van Jefferson has that one-on-one matchup against Brandon Stevens, hits the back foot, quick release. Allows Van Jefferson to run underneath. Once Russell Wilson could confirm that Van Jefferson on the backside had that one-on-one matchup, he trusted Van Jefferson to beat Stevens based on the leverage, and he did, Van Jefferson, and it ended up going for 6. Here's another palms beater against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is just an easy touchdown to the number 2 up the seam because Calvin Austin is able to get 21 just twisted up. And you see how a linebacker goes to engage Freiermuth, and that safety is going to assume the responsibility of Freiermuth. But the thing is, 21 got turned around, and then no one was able to stay with Calvin Austin because you have double coverage at the bottom of the screen on the backside X here, which is George Pickens. So Russell Wilson, probably through film, understood that George Pickens would get doubled here. And if that safety were to go to Freiermuth, the number 3 receiver, meaning the innermost receiver, that means Calvin Austin is going to be open if he wins this one-on-one matchup. And he did easily because you can see 21 gets turned around. This is an easy touchdown once again. You'll see. Checking. Look at his eyes. His eyes go to Calvin Austin right away. He's reading through the number 3 to the number 2 and understanding that that safety is occupied. He's got the one-on-one matchup, and Austin did the rest. And again, the throw was out in front. This guy has not lost anything on his arm. And that's sure. You can say a lot about Russell Wilson. I mentioned some of his warts earlier, specifically pertaining to his knack for trying to evade rushes that he just cannot really evade anymore, holding on to the football a little bit too long. Those things can definitely bite him in the rear end, but the arm is still there, and the brain is still there as well. And then you have the back shoulder throws. Oof, we're going to see this to Malik Neighbors, and it's going to be beautiful. Against Nick McLeod, New York Giants. Far hash rip. Quick release. Back shoulder. Allow Jefferson to just run and get it. It's just a beautiful throw by Russ. If it was intended to be back shoulder, which I tend to believe it was. Now you're going to see something similar against the Jets. Good coverage by the corner. Dropped right into the bucket. Right into that boundary hip, if you want to call it that. Even though this is another field side throw off of play action. Giants, we have not seen throws like this quite a while. That ball is traveling far to the far side of the field. Defensive coordinators, same with Jameis Winston, going to have to respect the arm talent of these two quarterbacks. Doesn't mean these quarterbacks are great. Doesn't mean the Giants are going to the playoffs. But these defensive coordinators will have to respect the arm talents of these quarterbacks. And that is very refreshing to say the least. All right, everybody. I just wanted to briefly go over some plays, talk about Russell Wilson, the signing, what it means for the New York Giants. I believe this significantly raises the floor for the New York Giants. I think if everything clicks for the Giants, they avoid injury, and the transition is rather seamless, then maybe the Giants can be an entertaining team who can win some games and jobs can be spared. I don't see what's so wrong with this move. I support this move. I don't think the Giants are going to win Super Bowls because of this, but can you be competent? Can you be capable? Can you allow your young players to develop? Yes. Does Russell Wilson offer more as a quarterback than previous quarterbacks who were in the building during the 2024 season? Absolutely. I believe Jameis Winston does as well. And a lot of it is centralized around the ability to threaten defenses vertically and create explosive plays. And it's something the Giants have been bottom 3 in. And I think 5 of the last 7 seasons or something just astronomically crazy. And they finished dead last in I think 3 or 4 of the last 7 seasons. You need to be able to threaten defenses with your passing attack. And with Malik Neighbors, with Theo Johnson, with Wandale, with Hyatt, hopefully, with Darius Slayton, you have some speedsters, you have some guys who can get down the football field. Let's actually have quarterbacks who can process and then deliver the football to maximize those talents. And I'm hoping that Russ or Jameis will be able to do that. Thank you, everybody. Nick Filato, Big Blue View, signing off. Take care of each other and have a lovely day.